It was supposed to be an ordinary flight, one of those calm, uneventful journeys that begin with coffee, smiles, and the soft hum of jet engines. Flight 782, a Boeing 737, was bound from Los Angeles to Seattle, carrying 201 passengers on a bright Saturday morning. The sun had just climbed over the Pacific horizon, casting golden light across the tarmac. At Gate 14, families hugged, businessmen checked emails, and children pressed their faces to the glass to watch the massive silver plane gleaming in the light. Inside the cockpit, Captain David Miller, a veteran pilot with 26 years of experience, flipped switches with practiced precision. His calm voice filled the cabin intercom. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard Flight 782 to Seattle. We're expecting a smooth flight today with clear skies all the way north. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your journey." Passengers smiled. The seatbelt signs chimed softly. The aircraft began to roll toward the runway. Among the passengers sat Emily Carter, an 18-year-old with bright brown eyes and an energy that made her seem older than her age. She wasn't like most teenagers on the plane. She wasn't scrolling her phone or listening to music. She was watching every move of the crew with quiet fascination. Her father, Thomas Carter, was an air traffic controller in Seattle, a man who had raised her on the rhythm of aviation. Since childhood, Emily had memorized aircraft models, flight patterns, and the alphabet of aviation: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. She had grown up surrounded by cockpit simulators and late-night airband radios, listening to pilots talk to towers thousands of feet above the ground. When Captain Miller learned that his young passenger was the daughter of one of the most respected controllers in the region, and that she was planning to begin flight school that summer, he offered her something special. "Come up to the cockpit before takeoff. I'll show you how it all works." Emily's heart skipped a beat. Her dream since childhood was about to become real. She stepped into the cockpit, the door closing softly behind her. The room felt alive, hundreds of blinking lights, glowing screens, switches and dials. The smell of aviation fuel and polished metal filled the air. Captain Miller turned toward her with a grin. "So, Emily, you ready for your first unofficial flight lesson?" She nodded shyly. "Yes, sir." He pointed at the flight instruments, the artificial horizon, the altimeter, the throttle levers. "These are your best friends up here," he said. "They never lie. Trust your instruments, trust yourself, and stay calm. That's how you keep a plane flying straight even when everything else goes wrong." Emily listened carefully, her eyes darting from one gauge to another. She had read about them in books, watched hours of flight deck videos online, but seeing them in person was like stepping into another world. When the aircraft began taxiing, Captain Miller motioned for her to sit in the jump seat, the small fold-down chair behind the pilots. "You can watch the takeoff from here," he said. "Just don't touch anything yet," she laughed softly. "Not yet," he chuckled. "We'll see." "Flight 782, cleared for takeoff, runway 24 right," came the tower's voice. "Roger that," Captain Miller replied. He pushed the throttles forward, the engines roared. The plane surged ahead, faster and faster until the runway blurred beneath them. "V1, rotate," the captain called out. Emily held her breath as the plane lifted gracefully into the sky, Los Angeles shrinking below them. Clouds drifted past the windows like soft waves of white. The morning sun painted the ocean a brilliant gold. For the next few minutes, Emily couldn't stop smiling. Everything, the sound, the view, the vibration under her feet, felt magical. "Not bad, huh?" the captain said. "It's beautiful," she whispered. He nodded. "Welcome to the sky." Once they reached cruising altitude, Captain Miller turned to Emily again. "You see this?" He pointed to the autopilot display. "That's what keeps the plane stable. Pilots monitor, guide, and communicate. Machines can help us fly, but only humans can keep calm when things go wrong." Emily memorized every word. She noticed how his hands moved, steady, confident, gentle, never rushed. The cockpit, she realized, wasn't just a machine. It was alive, and it responded to the calm heartbeat of the pilot. "Do you ever get scared?" she asked. Captain Miller smiled. "Every pilot does. The trick is not letting fear take the controls." Those words stayed with her. The flight attendants began serving coffee and breakfast. Laughter floated from the cabin. Children played with coloring books. The crew chatted quietly. Everything felt peaceful, ordinary. Emily leaned closer to the window. Below them stretched endless blue sky and white clouds that looked like mountains of cotton. She felt safe, inspired, and ready for the future. Captain Miller checked the weather radar. Clear skies ahead. He leaned back in his seat and said, "You've got the mind of a pilot. Emily, you stay focused, calm, and observant. One day you'll be sitting in this seat." She smiled. That's the dream. Neither of them knew that fate had already chosen that day, not years from now, for Emily to face the most terrifying test of all. Within the next hour, everything she had ever learned, seen, or heard about airplanes would matter, because soon, the engines would roar for a different reason. And Emily Carter, just 18 years old, would have to become the pilot she always dreamed of being. 18,000 feet above the Earth, the sky was calm and endless. Flight 782 glided smoothly through thin layers of white clouds, sunlight glinting off its silver wings. Inside the cockpit, the mood was relaxed. Captain Miller sipped his coffee. The co-pilot, First Officer Reynolds, joked about the weather forecast. Emily smiled, quietly observing every motion, every button pressed, every flicker of a light. She had no idea that peace was about to shatter in a single heartbeat. The explosion. It began as a faint vibration, so soft it could have been turbulence. Then, in a split second, the calm sky erupted with violence. Boom! A deafening explosion ripped through the left side of the aircraft. The plane lurched violently to one side, throwing coffee cups, papers, and loose items across the cockpit. Flames burst from Engine 1, followed by a thick stream of black smoke trailing into the sky. Alarms screamed, a terrifying chorus of beeps and flashing red lights. Engine 1 failure. "Fire warning!" Captain Miller shouted, his voice strained but controlled. The aircraft began to roll to the left. Passengers in the cabin screamed as oxygen masks dropped from above. Trays and bags tumbled from overhead bins. The entire fuselage shook like a living thing in pain. Emily clung to her seat, eyes wide, heart hammering so loud she could barely hear anything else. "Shut it down!" "Pull the fire handle," the captain ordered. Reynolds moved fast, his hands trembling. He yanked the red handle, cutting off fuel to the burning engine. But the noise, and that roaring noise, didn't stop. It grew louder, like the sky itself was tearing apart. The panic in the sky, in the cabin, chaos erupted. A baby wailed. A man shouted prayers. The flight attendants tried to calm passengers, shouting over the roar. "Put on your oxygen masks! Heads down, stay calm!" Outside, flames continued licking the wing. The left engine's casing had shattered, scattering metal debris backward into the sky. "Mayday, mayday, mayday! This is Flight 782. Engine fire, Engine 1 failure at 18,000 feet. Captain Miller called out. Static hissed in reply. Then a calm voice came through. Flight 782, this is Los Angeles Center. We copy your mayday. Descend to 10,000 feet immediately. Emergency services on standby. But before Miller could acknowledge, a sharp, desperate gasp came from the co-pilot's side. The collapse. Reynolds clutched his chest, his breathing ragged. Captain. I can't. He slumped forward over the controls. The plane dipped sharply downward. Reynolds! Hey, stay with me! Miller yelled, shaking him, but Reynolds' eyes had rolled back, his body limp. Emily's scream was drowned by another alarm. Bank angle! Bank angle! The plane was tilting dangerously. Miller fought the controls, trying to level it, sweat pouring down his face. Come on, stay with me. Not now, not now! He muttered through gritted teeth. The smell of burning plastic and smoke filled the cockpit. The air grew thin and choking. He reached for the oxygen mask, but the smoke alarm blared again. An electrical short from the fire had started spreading into the avionics bay below their feet. Emily, put on your mask, he ordered. She obeyed instantly, trembling but alert. The moment of silence. For a few terrifying seconds, the plane stabilized. But then Captain Miller coughed, once, twice, his voice fading. He reached for the oxygen lever again, but missed. The smoke had thickened to a gray haze. "Tell them," he tried to say, his hand falling from the control column. His body went limp. The captain, the man she had admired just minutes ago, collapsed in front of her. Emily froze. For a heartbeat, she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The cockpit lights blinked red. The aircraft continued forward, autopilot disengaged, alarms echoing in the confined space. And now, it was silent. Only the faint hum of the right engine remained. The rest drowned in static and panic. The weight of fear. From the cabin came desperate cries. "What's happening? Where are the pilots? We're going to crash!" Emily's chest tightened. She looked at the two motionless men in front of her, one slumped against the side window, the other hanging in his seatbelt. Smoke curled around them like ghosts. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to get out of that cockpit, but something stronger held her there. Her father's voice echoed in her head. "If you ever find yourself in trouble, stay calm. Airplanes don't fall from the sky. People panic and make them fall." Her hands shook as she reached toward the control panel. She remembered Captain Miller's words from earlier. "Trust your instruments. Trust yourself." She took a deep breath. The realization. Emily grabbed the radio mic with trembling fingers. "Mayday. Mayday, this is Flight 782. Both pilots are down. I repeat, both pilots are down." The radio crackled, then a startled voice replied. "Flight 782, say again." "Who is speaking?" She swallowed hard. "This is Emily Carter. I'm a passenger. I was in the cockpit. Both pilots are unconscious. We're at 18,000 feet and..." She glanced at the gauges. "And losing altitude." The voice on the other end tried to stay calm, but she could hear the shock. "Emily, listen to me carefully. We're going to help you. Can you see the autopilot switch?" Her eyes darted to the glowing panel. "Yes. Good. Keep it on. That will stabilize the plane for now. You're doing great, Emily. You're in control. You're going to be okay." But deep down, she knew this was just the beginning. Two pilots unconscious. One engine gone, smoke filling the cabin. 211 souls depending on her. At 18,000 feet, Emily Carter, an 18-year-old girl with no license, no training, and nothing but courage, had just become the only pilot left on Flight 782. The cockpit was filled with the shriek of alarms, the flicker of warning lights, and the stifling smell of smoke. The two pilots lay motionless, one slumped forward, the other against the window. Outside, clouds drifted past, serene and unbothered, as chaos raged inside. Emily Carter's hands trembled as she reached for the radio mic, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. "Mayday. Mayday, this is Flight 782. Both pilots are down. I repeat, both pilots are down." Her voice cracked with fear. For a moment, there was only static, a terrifying silence that made her feel utterly alone above the earth. Then, finally, a voice answered, calm, professional, human. "Flight 782. This is Seattle Center. Say again, who is speaking?" Emily swallowed hard, her throat dry. I'm Emily Carter. I'm just a passenger, but I know a little about flying." The line went quiet again, this time from disbelief. Then the voice returned, steadier. "Emily, this is Controller Mike Hudson. You're doing great. We're going to help you. Stay calm. Can you tell me your altitude?" She glanced at the altimeter. The numbers wavered as the plane dipped slightly. 18,000 feet. "And dropping," she said. "One engine is gone and both pilots, they're not moving." "Copy that." "Okay, Emily, I need you to take a deep breath. You're not alone. We're with you every step of the way." Emily inhaled sharply, forcing herself to focus. The yoke, heavy and unsteady, fought against her. The aircraft rolled to the left again. The stall warning blared. Passengers screamed from the cabin behind her. She pushed the control column gently forward, then corrected to the right, just like she'd seen Captain Miller do. The nose leveled slightly, but the vibrations continued. The aircraft was wounded. "Flight 782, you're banking left," the controller's voice said. "Ease your right hand forward." "Good. Hold it there." Emily obeyed, her arms shaking under the weight of the controls. The plane steadied just a little. "That's it. Emily, you're flying the aircraft." Those words hit her like thunder. She was flying it. Her, an 18-year-old girl with nothing but memories of her father's training and a handful of cockpit lessons. In the passenger cabin, the air was thick with fear. The flight attendants moved quickly through the aisles, doing everything they could to maintain order. "Please remain seated," one shouted. "The situation is under control." But it wasn't, not really. People sobbed. Some held hands. Others prayed quietly. In the front row, an elderly man gripped his armrest, whispering, "God help whoever's up there." Little did he know, it was a teenager. "Emily," the controller said, "you're doing great. Now I want you to check your engine instruments. You should see 2 columns of dials. One is dead, right?" She scanned the gauges. One side flickered with red, the other steady. "Yes," she said, voice trembling. "Left engine's gone." "Okay, keep your focus on the right engine. Maintain your altitude at 18,000 feet. Can you engage the autopilot?" Her eyes darted across the panel. "I think it's already off." "Then look for a button labeled CMD, Command, near the top of the center panel." She found it. Her finger hovered over it, shaking. "Press it," the voice said gently. She did. The plane steadied. Slightly smoother now, the yoke relaxing in her hands. A wave of relief flooded her chest. "Good job, Emily. The autopilot will help maintain your level flight. You're safe for now. Safe for now." The words echoed in her head. She looked toward Captain Miller. He was breathing, shallow but alive. The co-pilot was still motionless. She wanted to help, but she couldn't leave the controls. "Seattle Center, the captain's not responding," she said. "Should I?" "Emily," the controller interrupted softly. "Don't move from the controls. Medical help will meet you when you land. Just keep flying the plane. You're the pilot now." Her heart twisted. "The pilot?" she whispered to herself. She thought of her father, sitting miles below, maybe listening to the same frequency, unaware that it was his daughter fighting for her life above the clouds. Without warning, the aircraft jolted again. The autopilot disengaged with a sharp click, and a new alarm shrieked, "Terrain! Terrain! Seattle Center! The plane's dropping!" she shouted. "Emily, listen to me!" Pull back gently on the yoke. "Don't panic, just a little back pressure. That's it, good. Now add slight power to the right engine. Push the throttle lever forward slowly." She did as told. The engine roared to life, the altitude indicator slowly climbing. "You're regaining altitude. Keep it steady. You're doing it, Emily." Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I don't think I can do this," she whispered. "Yes, you can," came the reply. "You already are." Minutes felt like hours. Sweat trickled down her neck, her fingers numb from gripping the controls. Each second demanded focus. Every beep, every voice in her headset felt like life and death. She looked out through the windshield. The clouds had parted, revealing the vast blue sky and the faint outline of the Pacific coast far below. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Seattle Center, what do I do now?" "Emily, we're diverting you to Seattle-Tacoma International. You'll have a full emergency crew waiting. Fire trucks, medics, everyone. We'll guide you down." She nodded silently, even though they couldn't see her. "You're the calmest person I've ever heard up there," the controller said. "Keep that same courage for just a little longer." The impossible decision. Emily glanced back at the cabin door. She could hear muffled sobs, frightened voices. Over 200 lives, mothers, fathers, children, all depending on her. Her chest tightened. Fear whispered, "What if I fail?" But another voice, softer, stronger, rose inside her. Her father's words. "In the sky, fear is your enemy. Courage is your compass." She took a deep breath, placed her hand firmly on the throttle, and spoke into the radio. Seattle Center. I'm ready. Tell me what to do. And at that moment, an 18-year-old girl became the captain of Flight 782, her heart filled with fear, courage, and the weight of 201 lives, soaring alone at 18,000 feet. The minutes felt like hours. The cabin air was thick with fear, and every sound, every beep, every gust of wind seemed amplified 100 times over. For 37 endless minutes, Emily Carter, just 18 years old, had been guiding the crippled Boeing 737 through the sky, one breath and one trembling instruction at a time. The sun was beginning to set beyond the horizon, painting the clouds gold and crimson. From the cockpit window, the soft glow of the world below shimmered like a dream. But to Emily, it was a reminder of how far she still had to go. The approach. Flight 782. This is Seattle Tower. We have you on radar. You're cleared for emergency landing on runway 16 left. The controller's voice was calm, but beneath that calm was tension. The kind that comes when hundreds of lives depend on one fragile miracle. Emily gripped the control column tightly, her palms slick with sweat. "I see the runway lights," she said softly. "Good. You're doing incredible. Emily, begin your descent. Bring your altitude down to 5,000 feet. The altimeter needle spun slowly downward. The aircraft began its long, cautious glide toward safety. In the passenger cabin, everyone was silent. Parents held their children close. Elderly couples prayed. Even the babies had stopped crying, as if the entire plane was holding its breath. One of the flight attendants, Maria, knelt beside a young boy and whispered, "She's going to do it. She's bringing us home." Turbulence of the heart. As Emily guided the aircraft through the thickening clouds, a gust of wind hit them from the left. The plane shook violently. Oxygen masks swung like pendulums. "Seattle Tower!" she cried. "We're getting turbulence." "Copy that, Emily. Don't fight it too hard. Gentle corrections. Trust the plane. You're almost there." She steadied the yoke, recalling Captain Miller's words from earlier that morning. "Stay calm. Trust your instruments. Don't let fear fly for you." Her breathing slowed. Her hands, once trembling, became firm and deliberate. The plane leveled again, slicing smoothly through the orange-hued sky. "Altitude 3,000, she reported, voice steady now. "Perfect, Emily. You're right on the glide slope. Flaps 20 degrees. She reached for the lever, pulled it carefully, and felt the aircraft slow slightly. The nose lifted just a little, exactly as it should. The city lights of Seattle twinkled below, faint through the haze. Fire trucks and ambulances lined the runway, flashing red and blue like distant stars. Everyone on the ground was ready, but no one was sure what would happen next. "Flight 782, wind at 10 knots from the west. You are clear to land." "You're doing great, Emily. Just follow the lights." Emily exhaled shakily. The runway stretched ahead, long, narrow, glowing through the smoke-filled air. "Okay," she whispered to herself. "Just like the simulator. Keep her steady. Easy on the throttle." The altimeter read 1,000 feet. She could see the outlines of buildings, the faint reflection of the plane's lights on the ground below. "You're doing beautifully," said the tower. "Now bring your throttle to idle." "That's it. Now flare gently before touchdown." Her hands moved instinctively. The control yoke felt heavy. The engines hummed softly, one side weaker than the other. The ground rushed up to meet her. Her heart pounded in her ears. "Easy. Flare now! Pull back!" came the calm voice through her headset. She did. The nose rose slightly. Then, thud. Screech! The landing gear hit the runway, bouncing once. Smoke burst from the tires. The entire aircraft shuddered violently, then steadied. Passengers screamed, then gasped as the plane rolled forward. Slowing, Emily pressed the brakes gently, feeling every vibration through her trembling feet. The Boeing roared, hissed, and finally, after one last lurch, came to a stop right in the center of the runway. Silence. Then, a sound that would echo in her mind forever. Applause. Tears. People hugging strangers, praying aloud, cheering her name. "We're safe! She did it! We're safe!" Emily sat frozen, staring ahead at the glowing runway lights, her hands still gripping the controls. Her body trembled uncontrollably. She didn't even realize she was crying until tears blurred the instrument panel before her. The cockpit door burst open. Firefighters and medics rushed in, pulling open oxygen tanks, checking the unconscious pilots. Both were alive. Barely, but alive. One of the crew members knelt beside Emily. "Honey, you did it. You landed the plane." She turned slowly, eyes wide. I did?" "Yes," he said, smiling through tears. "You saved every one of us." Outside, sirens blared. Cameras flashed. Rescue vehicles surrounded the aircraft. But inside that cockpit, amid blinking lights and fading alarms, the world was quiet. Hours later, at the airport terminal, reporters swarmed the scene. Everyone wanted to see the young woman who had done the impossible. But Emily didn't see herself as a hero. She sat quietly, wrapped in a blanket, her hands still trembling. When one reporter leaned forward and asked, "How did you manage to land that plane, Emily?" She gave a small, tired smile and said softly, "My dad always told me, stay calm, trust your training, and never lose hope." Those words spread around the world within hours. News anchors called her the girl who saved 201 lives. Pilots across the globe praised her composure. Aviation schools offered her scholarships. Even Captain Miller, recovering in the hospital, called her from his bed. "You didn't just land a plane, Emily," he said. "You proved what courage really looks like." Weeks later, Emily Carter stood again inside a cockpit, this time as a student pilot. She placed her hand on the yoke and smiled faintly. The memories came rushing back, the alarms, the fear, the voices guiding her through the storm. But now, there was no fear, only gratitude. She looked out at the sky, wide, endless, and free. And somewhere high above, where Flight 782 had once fought for survival, she whispered a quiet promise. "For the rest of my life, I'll keep flying." That day, and every day after, Emily Carter was remembered not just as the girl who landed a plane, but as the symbol of hope, courage, and calm under fire. Because at 18,000 feet, when everyone else froze, one young girl chose to believe, and that belief saved 211 lives.